Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the PodUp with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. PodUp, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Friday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got a good show lined up for you today. We're going to be joined here momentarily by my old high school teammate, Florida State Seminole, Terrell Buckley. And the second half of the show, we'll be joined by Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com talking about high school sports here in the state of Florida, where we stand. But let's go straight to the Titan MR hotline. And we're joined by T-Buck. Good morning, Terrell Buckley. How are you, my man?
Good morning, hometown. That's what we call, somebody that you spend a lot of time with in the early days. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, Terrell, let's, people, we promote who's going to be on the show, do a little bio. A lot of people know who you are, obviously, that watch this show. But, you went to Pascagoula High School. We were teammates for 2 years. We won a state championship in football. I was thinking about this the other day because I coached high school ball for 12 years.
Yes.
And in high school ball, the object is get the ball to your best athlete.
Mm-hmm.
We never let you play offense.
That was mind-boggling to me because I played a little offense in the pros. I skipped. Right. I was a punt returner. I did a little bit of things. And actually, your dad, I got in at tailback to split me out after you left.
Right. And
run a little corner route, run a little seam route, and do some things. But overall, yes, that was a bit surprising. And I guess they felt like I was touching the ball enough on special teams.
Yeah, it blew my mind. When I was thinking about it, I was like, when I started scheming for high school, I was like, how can I get my best players the ball? And we had nobody go both ways either, and that's unheard of these days. But, you played multiple sports in high school. A lot of people don't know you also played baseball at Florida State. But let's go back to your recruiting days. We used to go to Florida State football camp, a bunch of us on our team. Mm-hmm. They recruited you. Mickey Andrews recruited our area very hard. What made you decide to be a Florida State Seminole?
You hit, I think, that camp that summer and spending that much time with Coach Andrews, who I think is the best assistant defensive coach, head coach, whatever you want to call it, that there's ever been, if you count the players and the production and what they've done outside of that. After leaving that camp and the way he coached and the guy that he was coaching before that had a name, D, y'all might know who that is, Prime Time. That was like, okay, he's coaching one of the guys that is the very best. I want to come be a part of that and see where I would fit.
You were number 27 in high school, which is kind of a weird number. I don't remember if they just gave you that number or if there was a reason why you wore it, but correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you have the opportunity to wear number 2 at Florida State, but you chose to go your own route?
Yes. Well, the thing about the number, my favorite number is 7. And I wore 17 at first, but when I got to high school, they gave me 20. It was like, okay, here's the numbers, and the only one that had the 7 in it was 27. Okay. And obviously, I had a lot of success with that number in high school, and I wanted to keep that and blaze my own trail. Like I said, D set the standard. He was the standard, and I wanted to be a part. See, could I set another standard or add to it?
Terrell, talk about, your 3 years at Florida State. I mean, when you think back to the 90s, it's Florida State, the big Miami game. Mm-hmm. Somebody was saying the other day how many times Coach Bowden's teams in the 90s finished in the top 5. If they still had the 4-team playoff back then, who knows how many national championships he could have won. But it was always a wide right, this, that, or the other that caused y'all the opportunity. But just talk about your career at Florida State and what game or what play stands out the most in Terrell Buckley's mind?
Oh, man, it's a bunch. I tell you what, before I went to Florida State, the Florida State-Florida game, sitting up in the stands, watching that energy and just the competition and just how tough it was. And coming back, there were a bunch of games. The 90, I think it was the 90 game that when you guys came down there, y'all had yourself throwing at the tight end. I can't remember the tight end. Kirkpatrick, you had Ike, you had all those guys, and you setting all type of records. I remember that game. You jump back to 1989, my freshman year. We played Miami there. Loudest game I've ever been a part of. We beat them there. Michigan, going up to Michigan and playing against Desmond, the eventual Heisman Trophy winner. Those are a few of the games that stand out. Just playing in Doak Campbell Stadium, that they think about naming Bobby Bowden Stadium. Just playing in that stadium alone and getting a chance to actually come to Gainesville and play my freshman year too on that turf.
Oh.
That was another loud. I mean, and how close the stadium was. I never forget that stuff.
Yeah, you hold a record at Florida State for most interceptions, yardage, interception returns, and also punt returns. But talk about, and I could be wrong, but the punt return where you kind of okey-doked everybody, was it against Syracuse?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Just talk about how you learned to do that and how it came about. And kind of explain it for our people that may not have seen it, but what you actually did.
Well, the thing was, I did it in high school. We would punt, punters in high school only punted so far. And, I wanted to get my hands on the ball, get in the open field. So what I ended up doing was catching the ball, pausing, really trying to get to the edge. Going to the edge, getting that edge guy to slow down, and then I felt like I could outrun him. So it worked in high school. So fast forward to Syracuse game, we up in the dome, and they had already punted a couple times that game. And I'm like, I got to get to the edge. I couldn't get to the edge. And I thought about, well, let me try this one time. It worked in high school, so let me try it again. And bam, the Fula from Gula, as Coach Bowden would say, is born. That's the whole story. Trying to get to the edge. I got to the edge, and I want to say it was 65 or 69 yards later. It's history.
Yeah, that was something else. You won the Jim Thorpe Award there. Just talk a little bit about, I don't know how many, I guess Dion probably won it, but are you and Dion the only guys at Florida State that have won the Jim Thorpe Award?
Yes, currently, yes. So, and that was special.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you go on, you get drafted by the Green Bay Packers. You go from playing in, South Mississippi where it's hot, Florida State where it's hot, and you got to go up there and play in that cold weather. What was that like?
Oh, man, it literally took me 2 years to get used to that cold. I mean, you're talking about literally you go to camp in July, and at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, it's in the 40s. This is in July, and then September roll around, and December roll around, and it's negative. We played a game my rookie year against the Raiders, and I want to say it was negative 30 below. The field was frozen. We couldn't even wear cleats. And I remember Tim Brown saying, "Do not touch me. Do not touch me. It is too cold out here." So can you imagine after the play, we were sprinting to get off the field, to get to the sideline and put the jackets on or get somewhere where it was warm. People don't realize it's a challenge. It was a challenge to go from that type of weather that I was used to being cold. You got the sweatshirt on, you have the tights. By my third year, I had stopped wearing sweatshirts and tights and all that and said, hey, it's going to be cold. Let me go out here and do what I'm getting paid to do, which is play ball, play hard, and make plays.
Yeah, in my opinion, Green Bay is my favorite franchise, my favorite place to go, just because it kind of has that college atmosphere. Yes. And we had somebody on a couple of weeks ago on my podcast that played for Green Bay, and I can't remember who it is right now, but when I was with Buffalo, we got to go to training camp. You were already gone with somebody else. I think you were with the Dolphins at the time. This was late in my career. But we got to go, a couple of days, practice against them before the preseason game. but I got to ride the bicycles with the kids down to practice and stuff like
Yes.
that. And I just think it's a great experience, and it's such a college atmosphere. Did you enjoy it up there?
Oh, I love every minute of it. I still consider myself a cheesehead. Obviously, I was drafted by him, and you alluded to the bike riding. Just explaining to the people, our stadium is probably at the end of the parking lot, which could be almost a half a mile from the practice facility. So we had the young kids of the neighborhood would come up, so we didn't have to drive our cars down and park there, and would give us a ride on their bikes to the practice facility. And whoever the first person you get with, they call you out, that's who you end up sticking with. And I've had a relationship with the young man that I rode his bike the 3 years I was there, and we stayed in contact.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. We got a text on the Titan Tomorrow text line. It comes from Jim. Jim wants to know, what was it like playing with Brett Favre?
It was awesome. Another Mississippi guy. If you don't realize, the Mississippi guys, he was fun, energetic. Both of us was young, and we had a great time. We called him the gunslinger. He was a little bit different than you, Shane. You methodically here, throw that pose. Brett was a gunslinger, swing around, 3 guys on him. He don't care. He sees Sterling Sharp down, just throw it up. Somebody make a play. Somebody gonna make a play.
Yep, no doubt about it. We got a Facebook Live question here for you, brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Evan wants to know, I've heard a lot about the high school team from Pascagoula that won the state championship. How good were y'all?
I tell you, the most talented team I ever played on. And I played on some talent team. I played with the Dolphins. We had, I think it's 3 Hall of Famers on that team. Obviously, I won a Super Bowl with New England Patriots. I played, but that team, with you leading that, is the most talented team that I've been a part of. 14-0. If you'd have had another year, it'd been 28-0 in 2 years. The only thing we was missing was my senior year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we had so many guys go. You and Kez go to Florida State. I went to Florida. We had a couple go to Mississippi State, one to Houston. We had them going everywhere, but it was.
Yeah, LSU. We had a couple guys actually ended up walking on LSU doing, but they were talented, turned down some other opportunity. I counted 15. Could have been a little more than that, but 15 guys that had an opportunity to play Division I ball.
Yeah, and you had a bunch go play SWAC as well. So
yeah.
Appreciate that question, Evan. We got another Facebook Live question for you from Philip, brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Philip wants to know, who was the most difficult receiver that gave you fits in the National Football League?
Well, besides all of them, you're talking about take it to another level. You had obviously Jerry Rice, who I think he's the greatest football player ever.
Another
Terry Glenn, rest in peace, because I felt like I had advantage over, if I was covering a big receiver. Well, I feel like my quickness beat him to the spot, and I could jump. I can do that. Terry Glenn had quickness, he had speed, he was explosive, and he was aggressive. So he neutralized what I felt like all the little advantages I had. He neutralized that.
As you mentioned earlier, you won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. What was it like playing for their organization compared to all the other ones you played for, and playing for Belichick? I mean, did you have any run-ins with him?
I love Belichick. I love playing for the Patriots, because when you sign, when I was my own agent at that time. I represented myself, so we negotiating, and I was married and had 3 kids, and I was like, well, Coach, I'm not coming to the off-season workout. I see you. I'm staying home with my girls. And he says, fine. I know I've done my research on you. You'll be in shape, so you come. And I was like, okay, well, when we play Carolina Panthers, I want to fly home to see my girls. Okay, fine. When you say do your job, the most professional coach, professional team I ever been a part of, didn't treat us like little kids, where if we fly together, all of us go on the bus together, all of us got to come back and all that stuff. No. If we agree, you handle your business. I'm going to treat you like a man, and if you don't get the job done, I'm going to get somebody else in here. And the last story saying this is like the icing on the cake. So we on a Thursday we get ready to play somebody, and I'm like, Coach, I need to go home. I have a award show to go to for my daughter. She's made honor roll. He was like, long as you get your workout in and be here back by Wednesday morning for 8 o'clock meeting, you're fine. I said, get my workout in. So I talked to the sprint coach, and we worked it out. When he was doing, we was at the old stadium, the one that Raglan Patriot Stadium. Oh, it was awful. So he's in there doing his press conference in the front of the weight room. I'm in the back lifting weights. You can hear the weight going click, click. I'm getting my workout in on Sunday after the game, so I can catch a flight to go to South Florida. I mean, unbelievable shot. I've never experienced anything before that, and I've never experienced anything since then.
That's awesome. Awesome. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today, 352-244-0844. We're speaking with Hall of Famer Terrell Buckley. You can follow him on Twitter at 27tbuck. So, Buck, you won a Super Bowl. You're in the FSU Hall of Fame, but I guess it was last year you go into the College Football Hall of Fame. How cool was that, my man? It's
awesome, man. I don't think neither one of us started out trying to play this game to be Hall of Fame players. We just want to be the best we can be, please our teammates and our family. To get that call to go into the Hall of Fame, the College Hall of Fame, it was surreal, exciting, and something now that my kids are older that they can experience, and they did experience that with us in New York. Very honored, very humble, and very appreciative.
So after your football career, you go back to Florida State. I think you earn your degree there. You're kind of a graduate assistant, volunteer assistant, or whatever, kind of work your way through. Terry Bowden gives you a job at Akron.
Yes.
That had to be a weird experience. You've been in NFL, you've been at FSU, then you got to go work at Akron. Then you go to Louisville, work under Bobby Petrino. And then you work your way back to Mississippi, and you work for Dan Mullen. Talk a little bit about what it was like working for Dan.
I think Dan is the ultimate head coach. I put him in that category. He understands the clock, the scoreboard, offense, defense, and special team as a unit. You combine all that together, and you get a team. You get a head coach. He's not out trying to score 60 points and run your defense in the ground, vice versa. So I think as a head coach and an organizer and player management load, everything, I think he's excellent. I think he's one of the best coaches I've been around.
So you're at Ole Miss now under Lane Kiffin. Florida's supposed to play in Oxford this year. Hopefully that happens. Do you think having you coached against Dan every day in practice, do you think you know some of his tendencies?
Without a doubt. Yes. Dan, he's competitive. I'm competitive. We trying to figure out a way to beat each other in practice. I mean, I understand him. I appreciate it and admire what he did at State and what we did together. And I took notes, because you never know when this time might come around. Well, he's probably like, okay, T-Buck has some of these tendencies in coaching, and you want to see the evolution on both sides.
So Terrell, you've been in Mississippi recruiting for quite some time now.
Yeah.
Mississippi State. Now you're back, recruiting.
Recruited from Louisville too. I recruited the State the whole time.
Right, you were recruiting them. So Mississippi finally got rid of the state flag.
Yes.
How difficult has that been? It probably wasn't a factor because kids were leaving the state to go play for you at Louisville. But now when you were at Mississippi State and now at Ole Miss, is it easier now to recruit, you think, with that flag gone?
It helps, but even with the flag being gone before, it was that stigma was there, and they could use that flag to add to that. Even though I'm telling them, look, I'm Mississippi made, so this is not what the history books, and they keep saying we have improved as a state. I'm proof of that. Do we still have ways to go? Yes. Do we have some things to do? Yes. But we are getting better. So with that happening, that's a tremendous lift for us.
Yeah, no doubt. So when you're out recruiting DBs, are you recruiting guys like yourself? Because I would say now you don't really see DBs your size. I mean, you were a smaller type DB, fast as hell, but these DBs nowadays, they're so dang big and long. Is that what you're looking for when you go out on the road?
Well, I call that the recruiting type. If you look at who's making the plays, the average guy in the NFL starter is 5'11", 5'10 and a half, 5'11", not too far from me. But what they do and what I look for, what this game is all about, Shane, you know this, is making plays. I'm one of them dudes, I don't, the link, the word, the link, and they tall and they doing this, we want that. And then you watch who's actually playing and making plays. Those big old guys are standing on the sideline, and them medium guys, they're making plays. If you can't make plays, it's hard to play. Now, if you get a big guy, Sam, if you get a big guy that can, like I had at Mississippi State last year, who I thought was the best guy in the draft, the corner Cam Dantzler, then you like, yes, let's roll.
Right. We're speaking with Terrell Buckley on the Titan MR Hotline. A few more minutes with T-Buck. When you look, the SEC only playing 10 conference games.
Yes.
You being a Florida State guy, though, there's no Florida State game this year.
I know.
What's that mean to you?
That hurts because you look, it's like you just look forward to that. It's like automatic. I want to say it's been 50, 60 years in a row, somewhere in there, that the Florida State matchup, you just, you look forward to it. I was really, really taken back that didn't happen. I assumed it was going to be 9+1 or 10+1, which would mean Florida State going to get their game in. It's going to be weird not seeing that this year.
When you look at the state of Mississippi, I don't think people, it's a two-part question. The Egg Bowl, it's a lot of hatred in that game, man.
Yes.
People don't realize it. How do you compare the Egg Bowl to Florida State? And then what do you think it's done for the state of Mississippi when it comes to Mike Leach being at Mississippi State, who's a character, and you got Lane, who's kind of a character. These guys that say whatever's on their mind. What's it doing? I mean, what's the feel there in the state of Mississippi with those two guys as head coaches now?
Man, when you compare the two rivals between the Florida State and Florida, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, it's the same. You know each other. The intensity is off the chart. And the saying is, I don't care if you lose all your games, you better beat, bam, Florida. You better beat Mississippi State. With adding Leach and adding Coach Kiffin to it, it's gonna add a little more funny lines to it. I think the intensity and what is expected in the game is not going to change. It just might add a little more, 3 more punch lines you'll have.
Yeah. So you've worked for Dan Mullen, and now you're working for Lane Kiffin, and obviously you've only been with Lane for a few months. What's the similarities between those two guys?
Well, you said it's hard to tell. We've had these walkthroughs. We haven't been through a season with him, haven't even been through a spring ball with him. So I do know Lane likes this. He likes his offense. He reminds me, I would say, if I had to compare him to a coach right now, it would be your former boss, Coach Spurrier, the fun and gun. And I'm gonna run this on you, and I'm gonna throw this same route on you. I'm gonna see what type of guts you have. That's one of the things I really, really appreciate and love about Coach Spurrier. So if Lane, that indication goes like that, it's gonna be a lot of fun for us.
Yeah. Terrell, you mentioned earlier you got 3 girls.
Yeah.
You're an avid golfer. I want to say, did they play college golf?
Yes. All 3. One played at Florida State, one played at Notre Dame, and one played at State for a little while. And all of them they did a good job. They got down to about 4 handicaps, and they didn't want to put that extra time in to start shooting on the par.
And what's your handicap right now?
I'm probably a 4 now, Sean. I'm getting it back a little bit. I've worked really hard the last 3 months, and that leads to the point where I told you earlier. I've joined a part of a group because give us the opportunity to play some serious golf, which is I'm sending to you, which is pro sports golf tour. We trying to get going next January, so all of us can have a place to play golf. I love golf. I think it's a unique game that I think everybody should experience.
So since y'all have been starting your walkthroughs and meetings and whatever's going on right now, you don't officially start training camp in the SEC, I think, until August 17th. You
Correct.
Sneak out and go hit some balls and go putt and stuff like that right now?
I was up until probably a week and a half ago. Now, with the walkthroughs and the meetings, it's taking up a little more time. And I have to make sure that my players are ready. That's why I tell people I got to get all my golf in before we start camp, because once you start camp, it's a total focus on the football season. Yeah.
We got a final text here for you, and it comes from Larry. Larry wants to know, Terrell, what did Bobby Bowden mean to you?
He means consistency. I think that's one of the biggest things in life, and I've learned as a coach too. If you're a consistent person, then that means you can be a consistent coach. And if you're a consistent coach, you can get consistent play out of your players. You've been around coaches saying, they come in, you up and down. If you go out and throw for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns, that coach loves you. You go out and throw a couple picks and you lose the game, he might not speak to you. And Coach Bowden was consistent in his approach. Game in, game out, season in, season out. He loved the Lord and he preached that and he didn't hide that. And that's what I really appreciate and learn from him. And that's how I try to approach it. With a little bit of that Mickey Andrews intensity.
I hear you. So do you have any aspirations of being a head coach one day?
Yes.
Okay.
If I can be a head coach right now, I'll take it.
Even at a smaller Division II type school?
At this point, it's my 14-year coaching. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me.
All right, good deal. Well, Buck, hey, man, good luck to the Rebels this year. We appreciate you taking time to join us. Hard to believe you're coaching the Ole Miss Rebels, man.
I know. And by the way, we changed. We are officially not trying to be
the Sharks.
Land Sharks. Yeah, the Land Sharks. It was an Army vet that came here, played here, I want to say 10 years ago. And that's been slowly creeping in where he was a Land Shark. And so yeah. It started on the defensive side. It started to grow as a defensive player. And it's starting to build momentum to go to Land Sharks, which I think would be very, for defensive people, Land Sharks, I think that would be awesome if we can go that route.
Sounds good, my man. Well, good luck to y'all this year. We'll be following you, and keep hitting them straight, my man.
Appreciate it. Tell your family I tell them.
I will. That's Terrell Buckley, College Hall of Famer, join us on the Titan MRI hotline. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we'll be joined by Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com talking high school sports. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice in Gainesville for all your area rug cleaning services. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Radware, Style Cuts, Wrap Spot, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Chris Doring Mortgage, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakau Insurance, Pomodoro Cafe, MB Listings, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Cornerstone Financial Group, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Master, 84 Lumber, and Gainesville Neon and Signs. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, podupwithshane.com, and click the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back to a Friday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Want to thank my man Terrell Buckley for joining us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. Just so people know, we had to take that interview yesterday because he has meetings with Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. And I got to read a couple of these Facebook Live comments brought to you by Meldon Law, Where You Matter Most. Our good friend Lamar Thomas, former Miami Hurricane, who's very close to Terrell. That cracked me up. He said he's the best 5'1" corner he's ever seen. And are you taller than your Jim Thorpe Award trophy? So that was some good stuff. Again, as you see my background, we did a high school media day yesterday up in Jacksonville. It was a successful day. We'll have Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com joining us here momentarily. But you know, we also started the PGA Championship yesterday, and man, some good golf going on. I love Brooks Koepka. I think he's going to compete in every major there is, and obviously, if he wins this one, it'll be 3 straight PGA Championships, and his run may be better than Tiger's when it comes to major championships in the last couple of years. But the My sleeper pick was Xander Schauffele. He's only 1 stroke off, so hopefully my guy will find a way to win, although I do like Brooks Koepka. We're going to be joined on the Titan Tomorrow hotline by Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com, talking high school sports, what's going on here in the state of Florida. Obviously, we had Media Day yesterday, hosted by Baker Sporting Goods up in Jacksonville. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Shane. How are you?
Doing well. It was good to see you yesterday up at Media Day, and it kind of got me excited. High school kids there in their jerseys, taking pictures, talking to the media. Let everyone know where we stand right now with high school football and high school sports.
Well, unfortunately, we're still in kind of a wait and see. We were supposed to begin high school sports on the first day of practice, was originally Monday, July the 27th. Even though the FHSA originally voted to go ahead and move forward with that date, that was on a Monday the 20th, when they had that meeting. A few days later on Thursday, it got overturned and pushed back. So right now, the first day of fall sports is supposed to be on August the 24th, with the first date of the regular season the week of September the 7th. There's going to be another FHSA Board of Directors meeting on Friday, August the 14th. And at that point, Shane, it's just a matter of taking a look at, different committees and what they're recommending. But take it, as you will, good or bad. The FHSA Athletic Directors Advisory Committee met on Wednesday, and 8 of their 15 ADs voted to select option number 3. Let me just kind of give you some information on these options. Now, option 1 would be to go ahead and proceed with this start date of August the 24th, meaning we would have regular season games, again, the week of September the 7th. Option 2, you would have a situation where it would be pushed back a little bit past August. More likely, you're probably going to be playing games in October. Option 3 is the one, again, that they voted the 15 ADs voted for this. And that would allow for football and the other fall sports to practice starting on November the 30th, with football games beginning on December the 14th. Now, again, this decision is only a recommendation. They will actually vote on the 14th. And it didn't seem like there was any interest at all in the option 2, which again would, practice sometime after August. And you're basically looking at the regular season ending November 28th with that option 2, but there would not be a state playoff series. Instead, they'd probably put together some type of a regional or an area FHSA tournament that would be held between November the 30th and December the 12th. Winter sports practices would be delayed until February the 15th with a start date of March the 1st. And here's something interesting too, Shane. In option 3, not only would you be pushed back, but tennis would be moved to the winter season, while golf and swimming would be moved to the spring season. And that's something that I thought about a long time ago. Why couldn't you play these sports like a tennis, for example, where you do have the social distancing, move those to maybe the fall or move them around a little bit. And that is something certainly that's on the table, the option of moving these other sports to different winter or different seasons.
Yeah, I remember, in Mississippi growing up, and maybe they've changed it now, but golf was a spring sport, because I remember playing baseball games and having friends on the golf team playing at the same time. I never understood why you played golf in the fall.
That's a good thing about Florida. You can play it year round.
Well, that is very true. Mike, so let me ask you this. Will we have a decision? I think you said, are they meeting August 14th or 17th?
I kept getting conflicting dates too, August 14th and August 17th. And then I confirmed that August 14th is the date that they're meeting. It will not be open to the public to Zoom this time. The FHSA is going to meet kind of behind closed doors, but they are supposed to make a decision on the 14th. Yes, it's okay to proceed with the date of the 24th, or no, let's take a look at these other options and vote on another option and when we might begin. So I don't know. The numbers were pretty good yesterday. We know how much it can fluctuate. I'm still hopeful that we're going to be able to. The tough thing about moving this stuff around and moving it back is you risk that option. Your window closes. If your goal is to try to play in the fall and you keep pushing it back, number one, that window closes. But number two, you think about kids that play, football guys that might play on the basketball team, or if you move it back even further, guys on the football team might be playing on the baseball team. That the concern for the smaller schools with the lack of depth. There was a Tallahassee school that made the comment that, hey, listen, 5 of our starters on our baseball team are on the football team. We would not survive both sports if it gets pushed back into January. So lots of concerns there, and they'll take those things into consideration. Obviously, safety is number one, but I would hope that we could still move forward on the 24th, as long as it's safe to play. And these teams have been going through conditioning with football. You got volleyball teams that are, we'll say, practicing. It's conditioning, but they're playing with nets right now. Social distancing, going through the protocols. There's been sports all summer. There's been youth sports. There's been AAU. There's been sports all over the state of Florida that indicates that, maybe it's okay to at least try and see if we can move forward with this August 24th date.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from WrapSpot. August is your lucky month at WrapSpot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We're speaking with Mike Ridaught on the Titan MR hotline. You can follow him at Ridaught on Twitter. Also, he does a tremendous job with his PrepZone.com. You can follow them on Twitter at the PrepZone. Mike, our neighbors to the north, Georgia, they've started school, but I think they've been in full force practicing football. Somebody told me they had a scrimmage the other day, a couple of teams. What are you hearing up in Georgia?
Well, I got some feedback yesterday at Media Day, and that was discussed, talking about the fact that Georgia is moving forward, and that might bode well for Florida. If Georgia's moving forward, why can't Florida move forward? So it does look like there's some positive things going on, up in Georgia, and I'm hoping that, that will kind of lead to Florida opening up and moving forward as well. It's really kind of that situation, Shane, where you want to see how does Major League Baseball do? How does the NBA do? Now, I know that they're in more closed settings and, the high schools are a little bit different. But again, I just feel like, the time is now to go ahead and move forward, in my opinion, just because I've seen sports being, going on for so long here in the Sunshine State, despite the numbers.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Mike, we got a text here on the Titan Tomorrow text line. Jim wants to know, if they play football this year in high school, what is the team to watch in our area? I guess the Gainesville, Ocala region. Who do you think is the best team in the area?
There's some interesting storylines because you look at the Ocala area, Vanguard's always in the mix. And of course, they've got some pretty good players, one or two of which are headed to Florida. Trevante Rucker, an outstanding athlete. He was a first team Star Banner selection last year. Bryce Langston, first team defensive player out of Vanguard. But I think the team that could be the team to watch in Ocala is going to be Trinity Catholic. First of all, John Brantley returns as head coach of the Celtics. Shane, they've got 3 Division I offensive linemen on that team. Jake Slaughter, who just flipped from FSU to UF. Caleb Johnson, who is an Auburn commit. Those 2 guys, top 100 guys. And as is Garner Langlow. He's a top 100 guy. He's an Auburn commit as well. Cole Gonzalez transferred from Ocala, quarterback. So the big thing about them, 3 Division I guys on the front line, but they're blocking for a guy that ran for over 2,000 yards last year. Jamarian Samuel is back for Trinity Catholic. So from the Ocala area, I think you got to mention those 2 teams for sure. From the Gainesville area, Gainesville's going to have a new coach, and Doc Pollard, who comes over from Santa Fe High School. Eastside's got a new head football coach, and Alex DeLeon. Santa Fe's got a new head football coach, and Jared Allen. And the tough thing for these coaches, first-year coaches, is they didn't have spring practice to go through to see their kids. Andrew Thomas has come over from Trinity Catholic. He's now at Union County. I think Union County will be pretty good, in the near future. So from the Gainesville area, I don't know, maybe I would probably say Buchholz. I think that even though Buchholz has a pretty competitive district schedule, I did get a chance to talk to their coach yesterday, Mark Whittemore. He was at the media day. He really likes his skill guys. He said that they should be pretty good on the back end, but they've got a running back in Quan Smith that already has a Power 5 offer. Matt Clayton is a guy that will kind of anchor the defense a little bit. He's a Wofford commit. But the thing about this Buchholz team, as Mark described them, he said the Bobcats will be gritty, not pretty. So only 5 returning starters on offense, 5 on defense. But I would probably have to say Buchholz, though, as my first choice, just because Doc is entering that first year at Gainesville High School, and there might be some uncertainty going into that first year.
What do you think about some of the smaller schools in the area?
Well, you look over in the Tri-County area, Chiefland, made the playoffs last year. Here's the big thing, though, for Chiefland. I don't know if you ever got a chance to see him play, but Ty Corbin is, first of all, he's small in stature. So if you look at him, he doesn't pass the eye test, but he is super quick. But he's graduated, so he will not be back to lead Chiefland. And he's a guy that last year, Shane, really got it done on the ground and through the air. And, he's going to be a big loss for that Chiefland team. So that we'll see if they can overcome that. But, Dixie County was a team that started off 6-0 last year, and then they lost their quarterback to injury. They lost their running back to injury. They still ended up making the playoffs, but those 2 injuries, were really significant for them. So I would always say Chiefland and Trenton, when you're talking about the small schools over in that area, I think those will be the 2 teams to watch.
Also in the fall, there's a lot of really good volleyball programs in our area. Let's talk a little high school volleyball. Who do you think's the powerhouse in our area, and who can make a deep run in the tournament if there is one?
I think that Buchholz is a team to watch. The thing about volleyball opposed to football, I haven't really had a chance to talk to some of these coaches. For example, I know that Chiefland had a key player that has been apparently been rumored to be moving on to Santa Fe. it's been tough to get confirmation. Even the coach emailed me yesterday and said, well, she's still enrolled in school here, but she is not, she hasn't been coming out for volleyball. So there's some uncertainty with volleyball right now. Heck, you don't even have a situation where schedules are up online. But Buchholz did have a nice run last year. So I think you have to consider them to be in the mix this year. Gainesville's always been, pretty good. Oak Hall will have a new coach this year. We'll see if the Eagles can kind of return back to their, normal playoff form years ago when they had Kerry Martin leading them. So volleyball in the Ocala area, Vanguard, Trinity Catholic, and they've been pretty good the last couple of years. So those are some of the teams that I would recommend keeping your eye on for this season.
We got a text here from Frank on the Titan Mark text line for you, Mike. He says, I understand Oak Hall has switched to a new conference and are now playing 8-man football. Can you confirm that?
That is correct. Yes. They had a bunch of transfers. I mentioned Cole Gonzalez, so you lose your starting quarterback, number one, and then it seemed to have been a trickle effect. And, they've lost some other guys where they finally made that move actually in the spring that they would move to 8-man. It's tough. They already have small numbers as it is. Give you an example, St. Francis Catholic was at Media Day yesterday, and I was talking to their head football coach, Scott McDaniel, and he said they've got, maybe 21, 22 kids. So when you get down to, 15, 14, 13, those kinds of numbers, you can't compete in 11-man football. So they went ahead and made that decision to go ahead and drop down to 8-man.
Can you explain to me and our listeners how the 8-man football works?
It's basically, I have not been to a game where they've played 8-man football, believe it or not. But the conversations that I've had with guys that have played 8-man football, they basically you spread them out. There's more conditioning involved, but at the same time, there's better opportunities to have explosive offenses because you get a lot of mismatches. So I would like to go see an 8-man football game sometime because from what I hear, it's pretty fun. The offensive numbers can be pretty high. It's certainly an offensive game at the 8-man level.
Yeah, I'd have to check that out too. I'm trying to imagine it. It must be like 7-on-7, but with pads, and you're actually playing football. Mm-hmm. I guess there's not many linemen are involved in that game.
No.
So Mike, what's been keeping Mike Ridaught busy with no high school sports since back in March? Yeah,
it's been tough. I do these radio updates, Shane, on, I guess I could say the radio station since you're not radio, 106.9 FM, I Am Country. And also I do high school radio reports over in the Tri-County area on 93.1 FM Chiefland and 96.3 FM in Cross City. In the spring, when we kind of shut down for sports, I started doing these senior spotlights. I ended up recognizing a total of 72 seniors in my radio reports, and then I posted those online at the PrepZone.com. Well, once we started rolling into July, I was hopeful, that we might be just a month away, but I had to go ahead and be proactive. So I decided to go ahead and start putting together rising senior spotlights, recognizing or highlighting the top seniors to be. And that's something that I started probably the end of July. So I've been doing it for a couple of weeks now, rising seniors. And it's a mixture, football players, volleyball. I'm going to be reaching out to swimming and diving and golf, et cetera. Interesting note about one senior. I don't know if you've heard this or not, Shane, but Ben Shelton was supposed to be returning for his senior year at Buchholz High School to play tennis. And his dad is the head tennis coach at the University of Florida. Now, Ben is ranked the number 4 junior in the country. When he was a sophomore, he ended up going, I believe it was like 29-1. He won a Class 4A state title. So he has decided to forego his senior year with the Bobcats. In fact, he's already graduated early, and he has just signed to play for his dad, Brian Shelton. Considered Florida and Stanford. Those were his top 2 choices. But he said that because of COVID-19, he decided to go earlier. So kind of a situation like a Wilbekin, for example, who left the Rock after his junior year to go play basketball. Florida, probably a little different with tennis. But it's amazing to see these athletes, forego a final year of high school and go into college. I don't know if that will be a trend thing with COVID-19. We've seen situations where guys have, been given the opportunity to hold back a year. I don't believe that's an option in Florida, but I believe it was an option in Georgia. I think I saw a Georgia player that did that. But it will be interesting to see if there are other athletes who already know or knew where they were going to go to school. Is there a way for them to finish high school early and maybe start in the spring? Just because the situation is not fluid here in Florida and we don't know when we're going to get back to sports.
No doubt about it. Crazy times. Mike, you do a tremendous job covering high school sports. Let everybody know how they can keep updated on what's going on.
I appreciate it, Shane. Yes, you can go to theprepzone.com. As I mentioned, we're doing the senior spotlights right now. You can find we also did some previews for high school football back in the spring. We did about a dozen teams. You can find a Union County preview, Chiefland, Bradford, Bell, Dixie County, Gainesville, Vanguard. We did several previews in the spring. You can also find our senior spotlights online. All of those are archived. And then our rising seniors that we've been doing, those are online. And really just in the last few days, Alex Brown of Trenton, Dre Lawrence of Hawthorne, who will play football and basketball this year for the Hornets, Leontre Robinson from Newberry. Those are some of the rising senior spotlights that we've done over the past week. And we'll continue doing those. Well, at least until the end of August, Shane, and I'm hoping by then, we'll be able to move forward. The Gainesville Sun has always done their high school football previews, starting out August 1st. They do them in alphabetical order, but even that's been put on hold just because we don't know when the season is going to start. We're still hopeful that the first day of fall practice will be on the 24th of August, which means we'll have the first week of the regular season on September the 7th. But again, we won't know, but we will once they have this meeting in another week. So certainly looking forward to that and praying for fall ball, Shane.
Well, hey, man, we appreciate you joining the show, Mike. Good seeing you yesterday. Stay safe down there, and hopefully we'll be talking high school sports here pretty soon.
You too. Good to see you as well, Shane, and I appreciate the time today. Have a good day.
Absolutely. That's Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Celebration Point's where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. Really want to thank Terrell Buckley and Mike Ridaught joining the program today. This Day in Sports is brought to you by the Best Restoration. Fires, hurricanes, or leaking pipes, whatever causes havoc in your home or business, call the Best at Best Restoration, 352-353-0768. This Day in Sports back in 1992, the Orlando Magic signed the number 1 draft pick, Shaquille O'Neal. That's brought to you by the Best Restoration. We got some Facebook Live comments here. David says, tennis is important, not high school. The Shelton kid is great. Yes, we should have Coach Shelton. We've tried to get Coach Shelton on. It's been difficult. We've had some coaches on. Some feel weird talking during this time, but hopefully we'll get more different sports, different coaches. We've had Becky Burley on. We've had Mary Wise, Kevin O'Sullivan, Mike White. So, yeah, we'll try to get some other sports involved. We've had Tim Walton as well. But that's, make sure you stay safe out there this weekend. Hopefully we'll know a little bit more about high school sports. We appreciate Mike joining us. We had a great day yesterday at High School Media Days brought to you by Baker Sporting Goods up in Jax. It was good seeing those kids in their jerseys and excited, and hopefully they get an opportunity to play this fall. But that's pretty much going to be it. Make sure you tune in. Check out the PGA Championship, folks. Tremendous golf going on right now. But today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there. We'll see you next week. Take care.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Gators.